Hello there, I'm glad you decided to join me on this small quest. Occasionally something in the media will come along and just be unapologetically weird. For example, think back to the 80s with the Disney afternoon shows or reruns of Hanna-Barbera cartoons dominating the airwaves. Then, a little show called Ren and Stimpy came along with its brand of humour that turned the animation world upside down. Why am I bringing this up? Well, today's game fits into this mold perfectly and, sorry to spoil things early, but I loved it for it. However, I am curious about how this game will be reviewed outside of my country of the UK. I'll explain that statement in a bit more detail later, and I feel I'm getting ahead of myself. So, let's discuss the wonderfully bizarre Thank Goodness You're Here. Developed by the indie studio Coal Supper, Thank Goodness You're Here is a uniquely charming and delightfully quirky video game that instantly captures the imagination with its offbeat humour, distinctive art style, and unconventional gameplay. Billed as a slapformer, the game takes place in the bizarre northern English town of Barnsworth. You play as a travelling salesman who comes to the town to meet with the mayor. While you are waiting for your meeting, you explore the town and meet the locals, who are all very eager to give you a series of increasingly odd jobs. Whenever I see a game like this, the first thing I think is, what's the gameplay like? At its core, Thank Goodness You're Here is an adventure game, but it puts a new spin on it. There's no inventory system, no complex puzzles, and no combat. Instead, the focus of the game is to wander around the town, interact with the citizens, and assist with the odd jobs. In turn, you will uncover the town's many secrets. This does lead into one slight downside to the game. When you start, you go through the opening cutscenes and such, then you are in the town and just left to wander around and find the next thing to do. I can see some people experiencing this and falling off the game as they'll have no idea what to do. When I started my playthrough on stream, I just wander around and happen to find the next thing to do. I urge you to stick with it, as that maybe 10 minutes of wandering is worth it for the rest of the laugh out loud moments you'll get in the game. It's beautifully simple in terms of controls and actions. You have two buttons at your disposal, which are jump and slap. You use the slap button to interact with townsfolk and the objects in the environment. Hence why this has been described as a slapformer. Going back to the townsfolk, the interactions with them are the heart of the game. Each character you meet has a distinct personality and often a ridiculous problem that needs solving. These encounters are where the game's humour shines the brightest, with dialogue that is both witty and delightfully absurd. So, you interact with a member of the town and they give you a task. But how do you carry out these tasks? The best way I could describe it is it's kinda like WarioWare. Essentially, a series of mini-games and challenges that vary wildly in style and substance. Some are straightforward, like helping a character find a lost item, while others are completely outlandish. These tasks are never a huge challenge that will have you scratching your head. However, due to the brilliant writing, they never feel boring or repetitive. Speaking of the writing, the humour in Thank Goodness You're Here is one of the standout features. It's a distinctly British kind of humour filled with dry wit, absurdity, and a good dose of silliness. The writing is sharp and full of clever wordplay, with each character delivering lines that are both funny and endearing. The game doesn't take itself seriously, and that's a big part of the charm. It revels in its own absurdity, constantly surprising you with its oddball sense of humour. The best way I could describe the humour in this is by comparing to something like Aardman films. If you love that style of humour, then you will love this. Cheeky jokes aplenty with many, many background jokes, so be sure to read every sign and even graffiti to find extra jokes outside of the dialogue. The narrative here is very loose, and there isn't a big overarching story. It's almost like you've been thrown into this little northern town and you just go for a wander round. There are little moments in the game that show you that you've completed a chapter or a segment, but don't go into this expecting a deep narrative that you'll be sucked into. As said, the game is all about those interactions and enjoying the absurdity of it all. Now that we've talked about the gameplay and narrative, let's talk about the thing that probably strikes everyone first about this, and that's the art style. The visuals are inspired by British comics and cartoons from the mid-20th century with a modern twist. It reminded me a lot of the Beano and Dandy comics I used to read when I was younger. I had a member of the chat on my stream mention that it reminded them of the Viz comics, which again is a very valid comparison with the cheeky humour mentioned previous. The hand-drawn characters and environments are full of charm, with a slightly exaggerated, almost grotesque quality that adds to the game's surreal atmosphere. The town of Barnsworth, where the game is set, is full of life and feels very real. If you're a Brit or have visited small towns in Britain, chances are you've seen a lot of what's presented in the game. I loved the animation in this. Everything is so exaggerated, which is a joy to watch on screen. There are even moments of beauty in this mad world that the developers have thrown us into. I also love that they used archival footage from the real town of Barnsley in the UK for the game's opening credits. Even though I didn't grow up in the era the footage was from, it made me feel very nostalgic. Coupled with the character designs being inspired by older British cartoons and comics as mentioned, as a Brit, this is a very nostalgic experience while playing. And to add to that nostalgia factor is the soundtrack. It's a mix of playful tunes with melodies that wouldn't feel out of place in a classic cartoon. The music changes dynamically depending on the situation, adding to the game's comedic timing and overall atmosphere. The sound effects are equally well done, with exaggerated noises that match that cartoonish visual style. The voice acting in here is top notch, with Matt Berry lending his voice to the game. You may know him from the What We Do in the Shadows TV series, Garth Marenghi's Dark Place, the IT Crowd, and even SpongeBob. I'm so glad there's now a game in the world where Matt Berry can be the fullest Matt Berry he can be. But it's not just Matt Berry that shines. The entire cast does an incredible job of bringing this town to life, with perfect northern accents to make this town feel very real. Thank Goodness You're Here is a delightfully and utterly charming game that stands out for its originality, humour and unique art style. It's a game that doesn't try to fit any particular genre or follow the usual video game conventions. Instead, it carves out its own niche as a playful, light-hearted experience that is enjoyable as it is bizarre. It's not a very long game either. My playthrough was about 2.5 hours. However, I played this during a live stream, so I had periods where I'd be chatting to viewers. Essentially, this could be completed in 2 hours very easily, which adds to the enjoyment even more, as it really doesn't outstay its welcome. There's a lot of replayability with there being so many jokes that you could easily miss during a playthrough. I was also told that during my stream of the game, other people's experiences were slightly different to mine. So, depending on what order you complete the odd jobs offered to you, you may get a new experience. All in all, Thank Goodness You're Here comes with a high recommendation from me. The humour was right up my alley and gave me a great feeling of nostalgia. I do wonder how this game will play to audiences outside of the UK, as it's as British as a British game could be. So, if you played the game, let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you haven't and this video has convinced you to check it out, let me know that in the comments too. If you liked this video or it helped you out today, then show me your thumbs by giving the video a thumbs up. And while you're there, be sure to press the subscribe and notification bell so you'll know when a new video hits the channel or when I'm live streaming. Thanks for watching, and if you love bizarre games, then feel free to check out the video on screen now, where I discuss the demo for Tamarindo's Freaking Dinner. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next quest.